So, my Butcher's Creek review did better than expected. Okay, look. I know when a video says that, the number they show actually means something, but my expectations are usually 200 views and someone wanting to throw a rock at me. And because I'm exactly as self-sabotaging as my friends say I am, I'm making an opinion piece on why one of gaming's most beloved icons needs to die already. But then I actually watched Resident Evil Damnation and all my vitriol for Leon Kennedy dried up, and my emotions turned to hollow apathy and the existential reminder of my mortality. So we're gonna be positive and talk about Captain Wayne's Vacation Desperation.
You just don't have to talk about it. I mean, like,
it's already well. Okay. It's not if I can't. I already have it in the script that I don't want to talk about it. It's like I try to pull this up to like get footage for this, and then I remember I don't like the way this game plays. I need footage. Like, I need the footage of me playing this game so that I can, have it be in there.
Was the opening paragraph for this video in its first draft, but when the afterglow of Captain Wayne's charming cutscenes wore off, I realized I'd have to talk about the gameplay, and then this video would just be me putting on steel boots to kick a puppy, and I'm keeping these recommendation vids positive and happy. So let's talk about the manga that's power system is killing yourself. That all being said, if you do want to see me kick a puppy, sound off in the comments so I know who to invite to my rewatch of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which still sits firmly at the top of my anime power system rankings.
Despite it all.
Though it does trade blows with Hunter x Hunter's Nen, and third place is a nice, respectable Golden Kamuy with its magic system of a gun will kill you. Until Ajin Demi-Human, written and illustrated by Gamon Sakurai, gave me a real answer with what if a gun didn't kill you? See, the general conceit of Ajin is that certain people on moment of their death regenerate all injuries and return to a baseline state. They can seemingly do this unlimited times and only ever actually die from old age. But you can't know if you're one of these demi-humans until you take your step through that last door and find out that it's revolving. And if there is one word I would use to describe how Ajin football tackles this idea, it's logical. What unthinkable experiments are the captured immortal demi-humans being subjected to by the government? Is it strange tests to surpass death itself? No. It's testing drugs for pharmaceutical companies and being loaned out as a crash test dummy to car companies. It's a stark mundanity more horrifying in its dehumanization that we are all too familiar with than any sort of shadowy council straight out of the least interesting parts of Evangelion. This grounded approach to the supernatural extends to the incredibly tactical and gun-focused fight scenes because Gamon Sakurai put considerate consideration into the methods both individuals and governments would use to properly fight an immortal. But it's not a win button because tranquilizer darts exist. Restraints exist. And for each new clever way to win a fight against an immortal the manga deals out, the demi-humans in turn learn to really abuse the reset power of offing themselves in really creative ways to get through combat. And also just do what anyone with a stand would do. Give it a gun. The demi-humans also have stands, called IBMs, with their own set of restrictions, only being able to bring them out about twice a day, keeping the fights still focused on the beat-to-beat human interactions, while our protagonist, Kei Nagai, has the special skill of being able to summon it 5 to 6 times a day. He's also a self-serving, unfeeling, cold, and calculated decision-maker who won't hesitate to take a life, and I'm not talking about his own. Whether his behavior is clinical or cultural, he got it from his mom, which I just think is neat, and when he does the typical hero's journey refusal of the call moment, by the time it happens, you've gotten a good enough grasp on his psychology that it doesn't feel like a forced narrative beat, but a pathologic response from someone whose brain just works differently. Also, he did get tortured a lot. But this sympathy that you have for him doesn't mean you're not then cheering for the much more shonen protag-coded good boy deuteragonist and child laborer Ko Nakano to come and talk some sense into Kei. Kei initially responds to this by locking him in a truck for a week. But in the end, Ko's boisterous sense of justice helps bring out the little sparks of empathy that flicker out from Kei in moments of distress, and in turn, Kei helps out with Ko's training arc of going to the woods and hanging himself a bunch of times. All in the service of stopping Ajin Demi-Human's main villain, Sato, who... Blast twice, make the crowd disintegrate. People run when they try and hide themselves. I'm a hunt with a gift from the lunchbox. It's a shit I keep moving and run like this every day. Body's falling cause I'm falling in every shot. All the numbers with a gift from the lunchbox. I like quite a lot. Same for the art style. Very detailed rendering and line work with very grounded designs that make me understand the appeal of tactical. It doesn't really have that typical anime art style, which works for me because I especially don't go for that moe chibi aesthetic.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Usually. I just like my anime aesthetics grounded and humanistic.
I am a Japanese man.
Or garishly stylized.
If it came to it, I wouldn't even mind giving her a backer.
Which ain't a unique opinion on my part.
But what is more unique is that Ajin started with a much more traditional anime style before changing drastically. Why the fuck did it record with my webcam for this line?
You see, the first 5 chapters were drawn by Gamon Sakurai, yes, but they were written by Suino Mura. But he had to leave the project, so his illustrator Sakurai Gamon, who we've been over, took over and clearly just leaned into writing the things he found interesting. Guns, hard magic systems, and video games. It's really interesting to see this shift between writers. You can see this dichotomy in how the experiments are both before he was writing it and after he was writing it. Before, they were originally strange experiments to surpass death run by the leader of the anti-demi government agency Tasaki. A can of worms morally gray government official archetype that I like more than I ethically should, and his right-hand woman Izumi who was written as a potential love interest for Tasaki. Until the writer change happened and that love interest plotline was dropped for making her an actual character, and Tasaki went from Amanda Waller to Amanda Waller. I'm usually of the mindset that even if something does get better later, a first impression is still a first impression and can inform you if you fuck with a thing or not. But Ajin Demi-Human doesn't make its real first impression until chapter 6 when Gamon Sakurai stepped up. Unfortunately, the translators just stumbled up. The version of Ajin I read has some very literal translations that at times border on broken English, which is a shame. But even with that issue, it still entered my top manga list, so don't let that dissuade you from this treat of a manga. That being said, I have heard there's a very good fan translation out there. And that's the real reason I made this video. If you have the link to it, I want it. Now. There's also an anime, but no. No.